So hi everyone, Arctic Rider here, up in lovely sunny autumnal Northumberland. Here today to do a quick review of the Suzuki V Strom 1050 XT, which Suzuki Bikes UK have kindly loaned to me for a couple of weeks to test out. Just want to make it clear, I'm under no obligation to give a good review, nor am I getting paid for this. They just were very nice and let me have this bike for a couple of weeks. So this will be the third V Strom that I've reviewed. I've reviewed the old 1000 XT from when I went to Iceland back in 2018. I reviewed my own 650 XT 2020, which is the bike I've currently got in the garage. And then this is the 2021 1050 XT. I guess first of all, just to start, I think it's an absolutely great bike. I've ridden it now for just over 500 miles. 250 of those were coming up the motorway from Milton Keynes back up to the northeast, and then about another 250 today. I've been doing the Northumberland 250 route, which is quite a lovely route of lots of twisty roads, and also I've done the Kielder Forest Drive, so I've done 20 miles of this off-road as well. But first impressions are really good. Obviously the power difference from the 650 that I've got is kind of streets ahead. My 650's got about 60 something brake horsepower. This has got over 100. I noticed the difference riding this than I did the 1000 XT, which I think it's the same engine, or they've tweaked it slightly. This seems to have a much better range of power. Coming up the motorway was an absolute breeze. 250 miles, barely felt it. And yeah, really comfortable and a lot more nimble than I think than the 1000 XT that I had a couple of years ago. So really enjoying it. A couple of things to mention, which I particularly like for the motorway riding. Really like the cruise control, which is a simple button on the handlebars. Really kind of makes, when you've got those big open motorways where you just want to kind of sit at a certain speed, get a kind of stretch of your hands, especially if you're doing long distances. That was really helpful. The dash is a little bit different. It's completely digital, which is the first fully digital dash that I've ever had. Takes a little bit of getting used to. There is a lot on there because there's the different modes around the bike performance modes, the ABS, the traction control. So there's quite a lot on there, so it takes a little bit of getting used to, but really handy actually. And this is something that commented on my 650 review, especially doing a little bit of gravel riding, a little bit of off-roading. You can turn off the traction control on this bike, which is great, and you can't turn off the ABS as far as I've worked out, but you can actually reduce it down. There's two kind of modes for the ABS, so you can put it on the really light assist version, which is what I did for the 20 miles of off-road riding that I did. This one's set up, it's got the Suzuki panniers on, the metal panniers, which are really good actually. When I got the 1000 XT a couple of years ago to go to Iceland, they had these funny little plastic panniers which didn't have much space in. One of them wrapped around the exhaust and they weren't particularly great, to be honest. This one's also got the crash bars on and the belly pan crash plate. With it being the XT, it's got the gold spoked wheels, which is great. It's also got these kind of hand guards, which they look all right, but actually they don't give too much protection from the wind. And also I've had a few little rocks spraying up. They're quite deep, to be honest. Maybe it's because I've got little hands. But that's one thing I noticed on the off-road. Like if I was going to buy one, I'd probably get some aftermarket ones and have a look and see if they're a little bit smaller. One thing I do particularly like, especially for the motorway riding, is the screen. The screen's pretty big and it's a better shape than I had on the 1000 XT. Really keeps the wind off you. It's adjustable as well, depending on your height. Talking of height, another thing that I noticed was the seat height. I'm 5'10", so I think on my other videos I've talked about I don't like a particularly high seat. They seem to have lowered, and I'll double check this and I'll put it in the information below. I think they've lowered the seat height slightly from the 1000 that I had, so it's a little bit easier for me, an average height guy, to kind of get on and be comfortable. Can easily get 2 feet down, which when you're doing a bit of stuff on the gravel or off-road is really helpful. But also when you've got the boxes loaded up and you're touring, or you're just kind of bimbling around town, always good to be able to have a little bit more confidence from your feet. Another thing that I noticed, which was a little bit unexpected, is obviously the new 2020 kind of paint job. I think looks pretty good between the yellow and the black. Although I'm a bit of a yellow convert. What I did notice is the tank here is metal, but then this pit here is plastic. So I've got my own I've got my own tank bag which I put on the bike. I've had it for all my bikes. I really like it. It's a great size for me, but it's attached by magnets and also a clip that goes onto the handlebars, so I can only actually do the bottom 2 magnets on either side, which isn't great, to be honest, and I hadn't realised till I was starting to come up the motorway on the way back from Milton Keynes. But all in all, it's a really fabulous bike. The power that it's got is really great. It's really comfortable. In terms of ease to ride, it's not quite as easy to ride as the 650, but I think that's probably just because it's a little bit bigger and it's a little bit heavier. But it still is. You can still throw it around the lanes. You can still do it, like I said before, do a breeze on the motorways. What was really I had to get used to is the different modes of riding. So when I picked it up, it's got 3 different modes: A, B, and C. A being where you get the maximum power out the bike, B where it's slightly less, and C the kind of lower power. I noticed because today we had a big storm yesterday here up in the northeast, so there was a lot of very slippery roads with a lot of with it being autumn time, a lot of leaves on the road, so quite slippy roads. When I had it in A mode, the most powerful mode, it was really sort of it was a little bit wobbly on the back end, and because the throttle was trying to react to everything, it almost feels like a sports bike with how reactive the throttle was. It was a little bit kind of hairy going around some of the twisty bends where there was those leaves on the road, and still being a bit damp. But once you knock it back into the other modes, I did that. I knocked it into mode C for when I was going across the gravel, and it was much better. And I think that's the key, is just making sure you put it in the right mode for your riding. Mode A for dry on the motorway, absolutely fantastic. Maybe can use the other modes, but I think that's great as well, and it's something it didn't have on the 1000 that I had. I think over the last couple of years, since they switched to having the Suzuki switched to having the 1000 to the 1050, even though I think it's, like I said before, I think it's the same engine, they've really just kind of stepped it up a gear in terms of the little extras that you get in terms of the cruise control, the ability to modify the different rider modes, the ability to change the ABS, the traction control to more ranges than they had before, and also obviously they've upgraded the look and feel from a couple of years ago, which I really like. Those of you who remember and I think everyone said this, the kind of Dr. Big look. I think it's the same guy who designed this. I think it's just got that more kind of rugged feel, and really kind of looks the part when you line it up against the GSs and the KTM Adventures and Triumph Tigers of this world. But it's a fabulous bike. I'd recommend anyone to come and have a go on one. I'm a bit of a V Strom convert. I've ridden the Tiger, I've ridden some of the Beamers, and I don't think it's far away. I don't think it's far away at all. And certainly the price point is less. There's a few things that you probably don't get that you get on some of those other more expensive bikes. And I know anyone who rides who's ridden a GS says they're absolutely fantastic. But I just don't think this is too far away. And if your budget doesn't want to creep all the way up to what you're looking at for a GS or a KTM Adventure, I think this is a massive shout. I could see myself touring all over Europe, all over North America on this. Absolutely no bother at all. I think it'd be great two up. It's got so much power in it. If you had even a kind of weightier pillion on the back, I don't think you've noticed it. Albeit I haven't ridden with this loaded up, but I think all in all, yeah, really good bike, and I'm so pleased that I got to spend a couple of weeks and a couple 100 miles riding around in it. I'll be pleased to get my little 650 back. It's just a little bit more nimble, and I'm a little bit more kind of used to the weight that I like, because I only really I never really do pillion riding anymore. But a good bike. So that's my summary.